What's up, creative community? Once again, this is Lorenzo, aka the Coach MC from the Coach MC Studio. And today, this video is all about a movie review about Air. And Air is all about Jordan, about his way to the top, how he kind of entered the world stage through the lens of the companies he had to choose from that were all battling each other to kind of gain his signature, to market his image, and to create this new shoe all around his athleticism, his talent. MIcheal Jordan was more than just an athlete. He was the Michael Jackson of basketball. For us, kids in Europe, seeing how he was playing and seeing the Bulls performing all together, it was just a dream coming true, right? And so we would get up in the middle of the night to watch the Bulls playing the playoffs against the Lakers, against Utah Jazz, against Seattle Supersonics, and all these other legendary teams. It was a cultural happening back in the days when there were not a lot of brands out there, a lot of sneaker brands or fashion brands. We had just a few things we can focus on, and Nike and Jordan was such an incredible brand. It's such an incredible experience, kind of, putting Jordan shoes on, and I had a lot of them, was not only putting a shoe on, it was putting on the whole experience, that whole legendary mindset that kind of surrounded, that mythical aura that surrounded Jordan back in the days. It was like being in touch with someone great, like Bruce Lee, like Bob Marley. MIcheal Jordan represented more than just basketball. He represented sports, athleticism, and competition on the next level. So when I saw the movie Air coming out, I knew I wanted to shoot a review. And by the way, little fun fact, this gentleman right here, the Coach MC, had 3 championship rings from the Bulls on his hand, right from my man Tony Kukoc. I had the incredible privilege to be at his house for a week a couple of years ago. I met him in person. We drove around Chicago. It was just the most amazing experience. I was a fanboy for 6 days straight while I was, guest at his house, and we talked about the Bulls, Rodman, about Jordan, and he kind of showed me around, and it was just incredible. So for me, that was already like a dream coming true. And then when I saw the movie Air coming out, I thought like, yeah, I have to kind of integrate this little brick of knowledge into it. I have to tell you right away, I thought this movie would be so much better. I expected so much more. I wanted this movie so bad to be like really good. All the ingredients were there. A great production team, a great on-screen duo like Ben Affleck and Matt Damon that already worked together on Good Will Hunting and created an incredible script back then that was also awarded with the Academy Award for Best Screenplay. So I thought, all right, this movie is gonna be great. It had good actors, a decent cinematography, dialogues were working nicely. The overall atmosphere of the 80s was there, even though it was a bit tropey here and there. But overall, I mean, all the ingredients were there to kind of create a unique dish. But in the end, it felt too soft, too comfortable. It wasn't dangerous at all. The whole movie experience, I thought like it was like sort of paying homage, but not really, and not touching upon like dangerous fields of topics in any circumstance, in any matter. It was trying to kind of paint this incredible picture, but then in the end, and it was driving comfortably on this 6 out of 10 highway, many plot possibilities where you could exit this 6.5 highway, this mediocre highway, to higher ground where you could easily hit like a 7 or a 7.5 and really create a magnificent picture that really could last the test of time, but it didn't. Going from the storyline, we are jumping back into MIcheal Jordan's life when he was 18 years old. He had to pick a company to run with when he entered the NBA. And so there was this huge battle of the 3 major companies that kind of had all the market share in the United States. Back then, Converse was a giant, holding 54% of all the market share of basketball shoes in the United States. Adidas was a giant, holding almost like 30% of the market share of the United States. And Nike was actually the small competitor, the underdog, the outsider, right? The dark horse somewhere in Beaverton, Oregon, like situated there, not on the East Coast, not with a fancy headquarter, not with a big office in one of the big cities. It was like a company that back in the days held like a market share of 17% of the overall basketball market in the United States. And so for Jordan, who loved Adidas like everybody did back in the days because it was representing hip hop, streetwear and subculture and this new very exciting culture that hip hop was. Converse was the to-go brand, when we're talking about all-star players like Larry Bird and Magic Magic Johnson. So the whole piece was already set. Nike was like the outsider contender that back in the days was basically just producing products for joggers and runners. And so the story picks up there where Jordan has to make that decision. You never see Jordan throughout the movie. You just hear him by the end on this phone call. There is no expression coming out of him. It's all flashback footage. It shows how he made that very, very important last point with his college team, North Carolina. And that kind of triggered that reaction of Nike saying, hey, this is our guy. He's taking responsibility. He seems to be a winner. He seems to be a perfectionist. And he seems to be trusted by all these more famous team players back in the day. So the trainer chose wisely. So he must be the guy for the future. And that's why Nike believed so much in it. Potentially, like I said, there would be so much juicy, critical stuff to kind of explore, to make a great and magnificent movie out of it. I feel like they've always chosen throughout this movie the more comfortable, the more secure, the more safe position to kind of travel softly, to deliver political correct jokes. All the metaphors from the 80s that were brought in by the character that is kind of flanking Matt Damon's character, played magnificently by Jason Bateman. He's delivering the 80s tropes all throughout the movie, maybe sometimes even too much. But the thing that I think, like, there are three things that disturbed me the most. First of all, the role of the father in this movie is completely neglected. The father of MIcheal Jordan doesn't exist in this movie. It's always Viola Davis' character, kind of discussing everything. She seems to be the boss. I don't know if that was actually the case in the Jordan family, if like the mother of Jordan was really this prominent figure who made all the decisions. It might be, but in the end, there was no family in this movie. And like the Jordan family doesn't exist. It was just Jordan's mother who said everything, who made everything, and she made all the final calls. And it seems like this movie is less about Jordan and more about the mother. I don't know if that was by intention or not. The decision of leaving Jordan out of the picture and making him this mysterious, enigmatic kind of phantom type figure that doesn't really appear, it's kind of interesting and it works for a while, but then over time it's like, where is this guy, right? We want to see Jordan. We only see him through the flashbacks and some real footage from the playground, but we never really see him interact. And it would have been so much more interesting if at least it would have been like one conversation. It would have been like at least one encounter with the actual MIcheal Jordan back in the days where he would have expressed something. No, it was always the mother talking for him. Like the father, I think he said like maybe 10 lines throughout the whole movie. He was always like working on his cards and smiling like a decrepitated old man. I don't know if that picture that they painted in this movie is really like paying him enough tribute, you know, is giving him like a fair treatment. Also because of the tragic end that the father of MIcheal Jordan, kind of what happened to him. I think they treat him slightly unfairly, and it would have been so much more interesting if Viola Davis' character would have clashed against MIcheal Jordan's father's character in a way, somehow, in some dark corner of the house. Nothing like that happened. It seemed like everything was paved already. The second thing that kind of disturbed me, they always tried to kind of link Jordan to the Afro-American heritage, the cultural heritage, which of course is there. You don't have to kind of force it all the time. They try to link him to Martin Luther King and to the ancient wisdom of 800 years old trees in North Carolina. That I looked it up. There is only one tree in North Carolina that is older than 400 years. It's that bald cypress that is belonging to the oldest trees in the United States. It's 2,600 years old, and that is very old. But he's talking about 800 years old trees that are just, you know, growing everywhere, and you don't see those trees. It's just a backyard in their home. So I don't know what they're saying. This they're all trying to create that more than necessary legendary heritage around Jordan, which is really not paying him tribute at all. Instead of focusing on his talent, instead of focusing on his magnificent ball handling, instead of focusing on his mindset, on his work ethic that was absolutely unmatched and unparalleled throughout. And still today, Jordan is the standard bar for high quality competition. They could have focused on so many beautiful things that would have been so much more valuable for the movie, and also as a message for the kids out there to kind of see what Jordan was made of and why he became the player, why he became the greatest ball player of all time. And third of all, what I found the most disappointing is if you go with a choice to kind of focus all of your efforts character-wise, since you left Jordan's father out of the picture, since you left Jordan himself out of the picture, and you just focused on his mother, then give her something to play with. And this is something really important also for you actors and performers and communicators out there. According to Jeff Bezos, who says, right, if you're the smartest guy in the room, you are in the wrong room. You need to go into the room where the people around you are smarter than yourself. You need to be challenged by the dialogue. You need to be challenged by the storyline. And if you find a storyline like that, you need to go to the director. You need to set things on fire so you get that backlash. So you need to kind of raise raise your bar. So you need to kind of move into a position where the stakes are really high, that you're fighting for something that is significant and it has value. If you don't do that as an actor, you stay in your comfortable little private zone, and that won't produce any great content. That won't produce any great outcome. It just feels comfortable. Whenever we're talking about art, comfortable is not the adjective that you're looking for to create great art. Great art needs to be a little bit uncomfortable. It needs to be full of contrast. You need clashes of interest and conflicts and high stakes to create art that is really meaningful and powerful. And so I feel like this isolation of Viola Davis' character didn't kind of help the movie to propel the story forward. And let me say this in the end, there is this big monologue, without spoiling too much, by Matt Damon's character. It was meant to be very inspirational, motivational, and kind of give boost to the whole movie and deliver that epic Oscar type of speech. It was very lame and boring. I felt like Matt Damon could have done so much better, but the cinematography in the end wasn't really kind of paying him any homage, and it was very one-sided. And I think, like, visually wise, the solutions weren't very clever, especially in the end. And if you need other characters in the movie to tell you that you delivered an amazing speech, and if you don't leave that judgment up to the audience, then you're doing something wrong in the first place anyways, right? If other characters need to say to the other character, oh, that was a great speech, and it's not the audience saying that spontaneously, that's why you're forcing an opinion psychologically onto the audience. And that is a very weak move. And especially by the end, it kind of, it fell flat and more flat. And then we already knew what was happening. So at least you should have created the illusion of an apex there, of some conflict there. Come up with a creative storyline, come up with something a bit more edgy, come up with something that has more potential and more traction, instead of just delivering this comfortable thing that should paint Jordan as this big legendary player that he is, without really showing his strength, his skills, or his opinion. There is nothing coming out of Jordan's mouth. Maybe that was because of copyright reasons. Maybe he didn't want to be in this movie. Maybe there were some other reasons. I don't know what it really is. I'm not saying it's not worth watching. It was okay to kind of see this movie. I'm a huge Jordan fan. I had so many fucking Nike sneakers. I can even start to count on so many Jordan sneakers before I sold them all to move to the US, and now I will start buying them again. No, but jokes aside, nowadays people try to be more comfortable instead of just kind of exploiting risks and, making that leap of faith. And this is what we are always preaching here at the Coach MC Studios, actors, performers, entertainers. Jump into the unknown, explore the abyss and the darkness, and you will find amazing things. If you don't go there where you haven't been before, how are you supposed to create something new? If you always stay on safe and known ground, you will always create safe and known things, and that over time won't reach, that ultimate quality bar that will leave people speechless, and that will improve your career, and that will create that legacy that is working for you. It did in the past for Jordan, because he surely explored the unknown. And make sure to do the same. Leave a like under this video and share it to your creative community. And thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you thought of Air. Did you like this movie? See you with the next video, guys. The Coach MC is out.